Hey, RetconRaider here, back with more Deep Sky Derelicts. Now, if you haven't already heard, Deep Sky Derelicts released through Steam's Early Access program earlier today. So to celebrate, I thought I'd go ahead and clean up the rest of that gameplay footage I had lying around. Of course, keep in mind that this footage is from the development build. It may be slightly different from what we're seeing with the Early Access launch today, but it should still be able to give you a good idea of what the game is like. Last time we ended up having to run back to the station after Naz got shot down by a couple of robot janitors. But now we've got him patched up and we sold off our excess salvage, so here we are back on the Absolution, ready for round 2. We've still got over half the ship to explore, so let's start pushing up into the unknown here. This first path was a dead end, so let's try the middle path. And there's an encounter, so let's go check that out. The skinks let out sharp hissing sounds and nervously twitch as they see you approach. Well, we'll take them down. These are pretty much the easiest enemies in the current version of the game. They've got a couple of elemental attacks that decrease your damage resistance and cause ongoing damage, but otherwise they drop pretty easily. We don't need any fancy tactics here, we just need to shoot them until they drop. And here comes another attack from the skink. It's an acid claw. That drops my damage resistance a bit more. But one more shot and it's gone. And those debuffs fade once the battle is over. And would you look at that, there's our first weapon tool mod. It's about time we got some equipment we can actually use. In fact, let's hop right over here into the inventory and equip that immediately. It looks like that'll actually increase our weaponry score as well as our evasion, and grant us 2 frag grenade cards, which means we'll finally have access to some area attacks. Those will definitely make some of these combat encounters a lot easier to handle. Now let's get back to exploring. We'll keep pushing deeper into the ship, and once we've finally gotten to the other side, we'll turn back around and start exploring the nooks and crannies on the very north and south side. Relatively speaking. Cardinal directions are all relative when you're in space. Looks like we've got a bit of loot. A mental tool mod, nothing we can use there. But we can use another weapon tool mod. And another petrified alien head. Vendor trash, but at least it's valuable vendor trash. Let's get that weapon mod equipped. Plus 2 initiative, plus 13% damage. We'll go ahead and pop that into Rowan's weapon toolkit. That gives him an EMP grenade. And once again, we will continue exploring. Yeah, let's push into this little southern nook. The skinks let out sharp hissing sounds and nervously twitch as they see you approach. Again. Well, more skinks back with a vengeance and in greater number. Definitely not worried about this combat. It should be just another quick damage fest. Though I do have to watch those acid claws. If they hit us with too many of them, they'll actually start doing significant damage. The EMP grenade only does shield damage, so it's useless for this fight. But once again, these guys go down pretty easy once you start pouring damage on them. Naz can drop that wounded one easily with a standard attack, so no reason to waste his burst attack. There we go, 1 rocket punch, and we're down to 3 opponents. Now let's see if we can neutralize another with a stun attack. No stun, but at least we did some pretty solid damage. Ooh. And there's a nasty crit. And a follow-up attack. Looks like Naz is on the ropes again. He's lost his shield and he's starting to take health damage. I think we've got this under control, though. First, let's see if we can soften up another one of these skinks. And And let's go ahead and recharge Nazz's shields. And then Atlas can provoke one of the skinks. This will not only kill that badly wounded skink, but it will also provoke both of the remaining skinks into focusing on Atlas. That way they'll stop picking on our less durable crawlers, at least for the moment. Though, like I said, I do have to keep an eye on those debuffs. They're really starting to stack up on Atlas now. Fortunately, we're down to our last opponent, though it is the toughest of the skinks. Let's take a chance and see if we can stun him. No, but he's still down a quarter of his hit points. So let's just keep wailing on him. We'll refrain from provoking him this time because... oh, well, never mind. And now that's what I'm talking about. Here we've got some actual solid loot for once. Another weapon mod. Oh, and our first scavenging tool mod. +6 scavenging, +7% damage, plus a whole assortment of powerful new attacks. Oh, and another weapon tool mod with even more grenades. And a ranged weapon mod with additional grenades. I guess that means it's time to start loading up on area attacks. Let's go ahead and get all this stuff slotted real quick. Of course, Rowan doesn't have enough room for all of this gear, so he'll be sharing some of it with Atlas. I'll just need to decide who gets what. Though, obviously, we'll start off by slotting that new salvaging tool mod into Nazz's gear. That gives him a scrappy bomb and 2 magnetic throw attacks, which are quite potent. And then we've got... let's see here. This ranged weapon mod could go on Nazz's weapon or on Atlas's weapon, but since Atlas is our dedicated damage dealer, I think he'll be able to use it a little better. Whoops, sorry, not Atlas, I meant Rowan. Atlas is using a giant club. There we go. It would be fun if Atlas could strap a grenade launcher to his club, though. But speaking of which, I can still give Atlas grenades, I'll just have to give him one of these weapon mods. And I've got a spare weapon mod sitting in my inventory right now, so... This one's got 2 frag grenades, that one's got 2 frag grenades and a pulse grenade. So let's swap this one in here. And then Atlas can also have 2 frag grenades to play with. Yeah. The Tracker is your primary damage-dealing class, but the Sentinel is a close second, so they can both make good use of weapon tool mods. And like I said back in the overview video, you really want to keep versatility in mind when you're putting together your character decks. Those grenade attacks would have been particularly useful against the skinks, for example. Those things have no shields and low hit point pools, so I could have cleared them out a lot faster with a few grenades. We've got another encounter here, so let's check that out. It's a Cobra, which, as far as I can tell, is basically this game's equivalent of a Predator. Can never escape the snake waifu. Let's see, this is a relatively tough solo opponent. I see we've got our first grenade card there in our deck, but there's no point in using it on a single target, so let's start off with a single strike instead. That way we can send Rowan diving into combat with his knife like a boss. Now let's have Naz go ahead and hit it with some burst fire. Not a lot of damage, but every little bit helps. Now we can go ahead and force it to focus on Atlas. And we'll follow up with another single strike. We've got this thing on the ropes already, one more hit'll drop it. And it's on the defensive. We've pretty much won the fight now. There we go. Naz takes it down with one more well-placed shot. We get yet another grenade mod, this time with a pulse grenade and 2 more frag grenades. Though, no passive modifiers. Oh, and even better, we got level ups. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our options here. Though I guess we can slot this explosive weapon mod real quick. Looks like Atlas is up a level, Rowan... Oh, hold on a second. Naz did not go up a level because he didn't get credit for that fight where he got taken down by the robot janitors. But he'll catch up soon enough. Let's see our options here. Mark Target. I'm not really crazy about that ability, so I'll ignore it. Agile grants greater evasion. Tools of the Trade grants bonus weaponry. Weaponry is really the tracker's bread and butter, so we'll put both ranks into that. It's nothing fancy, but now Rowan will simply do more raw damage with every weapon card he plays, and that's always a good thing. Provoking Strike is pretty useful. I'm tempted to improve it, but let's look at these other abilities. Passive increase to weaponry and a passive increase to damage resistance. Those are all pretty good. So let's go ahead and split his points up a little. We'll... plus 6 maximum health isn't that great, but a lot of these abilities are very good. It's going to be hard deciding where to put his points in the future. But for now, I think we'll go ahead and spend both points improving his Provoking Strike. That has been an invaluable staple of our battle strategy so far. And now let's keep pushing up. Oh, look at that. Plus 21% chance to ignore shields, and a chance to inflict bleeding damage. Not bad, but more importantly, that is our first Power Glove mod, which means that it's going right to Naz. We'll slap that on his melee weapon, and continue wandering around this derelict. Now, at some point we are going to stumble over this derelict's navigation center, which is the goal of each of these exploration missions. There are always going to be smaller subcontracts and side quests, but your main goal is always going to come down to trying to find that navigation center so you can get information for the governor. And that usually ends up involving its own special little quest, or some sort of unique boss. I've seen 3 or 4 of them already, so I'm not really sure which one we're going to run into on this derelict. Looks like we've encountered another Cobra, so let's put a pin in that and we'll come back to it in a second. Alright, a single powerful opponent. Unfortunately, it looks like we started off with nothing but grenades, so let's just go ahead and lob a grenade in there. That'll take out this thing's shields in one shot. And it's already focusing fire on Atlas, but we'll probably take it down before it gets to go again. There's Naz's new ripping attack, but let's just stick with plain old bullets for now. And there's a trio of solid hits. Now Atlas will go ahead and keep its attention with our freshly upgraded Provoking Strike. And Rowan will finish it off with an aim shot. A nice, quick, and easy battle. And we got a petrified alien head, which is fitting considering the opponent. And let's keep pushing on. There's a tech tool, nothing we can really use with our current crew. That's primarily useful for the shield-heavy engineer class. Personally, oh, hey, look at this. We've been looking for new slaves, dead or alive. We're up against a couple of Vulture pirates. These guys are all pretty tough individually, so this is actually a somewhat serious fight. We'll start off by overloading their shields with a quick EMP grenade. And now they're counterattacking. Oh, Naz is up. And he's got his magnetic throw queued. So, there's a hefty single target shot plus a stagger, which means that that opponent was forced to discard a card. And, it's a little dangerous, but let's go ahead and force them to keep focusing on Naz. Ooh, and they did indeed focus on him, but now they've got him stunned. Okay, let's go ahead and hit these guys with an explosive grenade. That keeps them staggered. Knock that one to the brink of death, so we'll finish him off real quick. And... okay. That last one decided to do a weak area attack, so that gives us a couple of turns to... well, never mind. This fight will just take another attack or two now that Rowan's trimmed off most of his health with that crit. And we're back to Rowan, so we'll finish him off with a frag grenade. Just a bunch of scrap. We'll go ahead and grab it. We are not lacking for inventory space. And Naz is finally caught up with the rest of the team. Dirty Punch is nice, but I'm not going to bother upgrading it. I'd rather focus on things that give me loot, so... Suit Modification is a nice defensive buff, but instead we're going to invest both of his ability points right into Expert Scavenging, which boosts the quality of the loot that we'll find in the future. Like I said in the previous videos, loot is a major part of the game, so if you want to maximize your yield, you'll always want to make sure that you bring a scrapper along, though a leader is a close second. Scrappers improve the quality of the loot you can find, but leaders improve the quality of the rewards you receive for completing quests, and they improve your buying and selling prices in the pawn shop. And it looks like we're up against Janitorial robots. That's Naz's kryptonite. Let's see if we can get through this fight without losing him this time. We've already got an immediate advantage with all these grenades, so let's trim off those shields. Oof, and there's an immediate puncturing strike on Rowan. And Atlas just lost a chunk of his shields. Oof, and then there's a critical stagger there that trims down on the cards in Rowan's hand. But we get a chance to counterattack now, so let's hit them with a stagger in return. We'll go ahead and have Atlas dole out a quick provoking strike, and... oh, that actually leaves us with just one opponent. Those grenades actually do make this a lot easier. Especially this pulse grenade, which has now neutralized the Janitorial robot for a turn, which means we can now finish it off at our leisure. And there we... oh, no, sorry, not quite. Jumped the gun there. There we go. Rowan finishes off the last janitor with a deft strike. Got a tech tool there. And an assault ranged weapon. That's going to go right on Naz's submachine gun. We also pulled a bunch of janitor robot parts, but since we don't have that quest anymore, it's all just vendor trash. Now let's see, what is that ranged weapon? Oh, it's actually a ranged weapon, not a ranged weapon mod. And it comes with suppressive fire, aimed shot, and single shot. So we'd be giving up our burst shot capacity. But I think it's worth it. This does a little more damage, and it has a bit more versatility. So, yeah, the Stormer will do nicely. We'll try it out for at least a fight or two. Oof, and that's a lot of encounters. Let's go ahead and refill our energy meter real quick. And start plowing through those encounters. Oh, nice, some skinks. Now that we've got grenades, this should be some quick and easy experience points. Maybe we'll luck out and get some more usable loot, too. Looks like that last skink just buffed everyone. Okay, well, the buff's not going to matter if we can take all these guys out in a single round. Rowan's going to have to spend his first turn recharging his shields. And that Scrappy Bomb might work. I haven't used those a lot, but at least at a glance it looks like a pretty solid area attack. Let's give that a shot. Wow, okay. Yeah, that'll do it. We're down to a single target, and we'll try to stun it here. No stun, but we still took off almost half its health. It'll get one counter attack on us, but since it has no chance of getting through our shields, We can now easily finish it off. And down it goes. That gives us a whole pile of loot to play with. Mostly vendor trash. We've got our first spread weapon here, but I think I'm pretty happy with the weapons we already have, so we'll probably end up selling that off. And then, oh, we've got another assault ranged weapon here. This one does less damage than the one we just got, and it's less versatile, so again, we probably won't use it. Ooh, but we're definitely going to take this weapon mod. Rowan is actually using a precision ranged weapon right now, so we can immediately slot that onto his weapon. That'll give him a big boost to his crit damage, plus it'll also give him an additional powerful attack card to play with. And aside from that, I guess we'll go ahead and at least take a look at these new weapons. Although scrappers start with assault weapons by default, you can swap them out to any other type of ranged weapon if you want to, and sometimes I do. But I do generally like to have some versatility. So, no, I think we're going to stick with the weapon we have right now. Oh, and looks like we're up against 2 more Cobras. These guys are somewhat tough, but with all of the recent equipment upgrades we picked up, I think it's pretty clear we're going to tear right through these guys. There go their shields. They've been staggered too, so that reduces their options for combat. They're both already focusing on Atlas, but doesn't look like they're having much luck there. Naz doles out a hefty hit with Magnetic Throw, staggers that opponent. And that finally gives Atlas an excuse to play with grenades. That takes out one of the Cobras and badly wounds the other. There goes most of its remaining hit points. So after it takes its one paltry attack, Naz will go ahead and finish it off. Ooh, and some serious overkill there. We got a medical tool mod, we got a weapon tool, and some serious passive bonuses, but I can't say I'm crazy about the cards. We picked up a tech tool mod, useless to us, and a weapon tool mod, a single EMP grenade. We probably won't be using that one. I do want to take a look at that weapon tool, though. +8 weaponry and some pretty nice boosts to critical hits. Let's go take a look at Rowan's weapon kit real quick. Oh, wait, sorry, no, I'm... Right, I tried to put it in the weapon mod slot. Not thinking here. Let's try that again. We'll go ahead and pull his battle visor off and replace it with the new mod. And back to exploring. Let's go ahead and hit the scan while we're here. We just picked up another encounter, so we'll check that out. And it's 2 more janitors. Definitely nothing to worry about at this point. Let's tag these guys with a pulse grenade. That'll slow them down a bit. And now, as long as they don't pierce our shields, we should be fine. Okay, let's go ahead and try out suppressing fire. And we'll tag them with a quick frag grenade. That finishes off both their shields. And now Rowan can finish them off with another grenade. A quick and easy fight. A lot of vendor trash, a mental tool, and a new scavenging tool. Can always use more scrappy bombs, so I think we will actually swap out Naz's tool here. There we go. Okay, his current default tool is a piece of garbage, so yeah, let's go ahead and swap these out. And push on. We've got to find that navigation room sooner or later. Ooh, that's some nice loot. There's our first shield core mod. And another medical tool mod. Ooh, and another scavenging tool mod. That'll go right into Nazz's equipment. Then we'll take a look to see who gets this shield core mod. Now this mod's a solid upgrade. We have an empty slot, so there's no reason not to use it. As for the shield core mod, since Atlas is our designated tank, I think he can make the best use of those defensive bonuses. So, let's go ahead and move on. Looks like we're up against a couple more janitor robots. Again, this should be a fairly quick and simple battle. There go their shields. And there goes most of Atlas's shields as well. But it looks like Nazz is wasting no time with the scrap bomb, so let's just use one of those to end the fight real quick. No notable loot, so once again, moving on. Looks like the only part of the ship we haven't explored yet is this northeastern section, and according to our latest scan, there's only one way in there, so let's go ahead and recharge our energy bar and get ourselves ready for a potential boss fight. The navigation center's almost certainly going to be up here somewhere. We pinged a single encounter. And there we go, the Necro Guard. As you enter the room, you feel a looming presence inside your head. A massive construct made of metal and flesh stands still on the far side of the room. You feel a jolt of pain in your brain as it speaks. Desist. Flee. Or die. I'm just here for the location data. Die. Well, so much for that exchange. Sometimes the end boss encounters involve puzzles and such, but in this case it's just a single, relatively tough boss fight. Since we're up against a single tough target, let's go ahead and start off with a debuff. Now Nazz can hit him with something powerful. Let's go ahead and start off with Ripping Strike. Do a little damage over time. Oh, right. Well, silly me. It can't actually inflict bleeding damage unless you're doing it to his health pool, so that was kind of a waste. No big deal. We'll keep it focused on Atlas, and Atlas is already making good use of that new shield core mod. Now Rowan can trim some more shields off. Actually, no, let's have him continue debuffing it. And Nazz will just hit it with a magnetic throw this time. Nothing fancy, just raw damage with a stagger side effect. Atlas will continue holding its attention. Actually getting through its shields in a pretty... Oh, okay. Looks like Atlas just got stunned. But since we're still doing okay on both health and shields, I don't think that's anything to worry about. In fact, Rowan is just taking out this thing's shields now, so at this point I think we'll have this thing dropped within another 2 or 3 rounds. Especially if Nazz can keep doling out that kind of damage. When fancy powers fail, there's always the old fist to the face. I can appreciate that kind of straightforwardness. Rowan knocks the Necro Guard to the brink of death. And Nazz finishes it off with an old-fashioned homemade explosive. Boss fight's done. We gain a hefty chunk of experience points, but no loot. You take a glimmering golden sphere out of the machine, staring into space. The sphere's surface glows with an eerie golden color as you touch it. It feels as if this beautifully crafted object will help you find the Mothership. Alright, we're pretty much done here, but we might as well explore the last few rooms. We'll poke through this last loot pile. There's another scavenging tool mod, but it's not all that great. I probably won't end up using that one. And we'll visit this last unexplored section. And I think it's time to leave. Now we just need to get back to the pilot, and we can head back to the space station to show the sub-governor what we found. And this, of course, will also give us a chance to sell off our excess loot and handle our minor injuries. Hello, Scavenger. How goes your search? Look at what I found on Absolution. A pristine astrosphere. Who knows what secrets it's hiding? You've done well, but we are not done yet. Carry on. Was there anything else? Honestly, I was kind of expecting him to be a little more excited, but, well, a job well done. At any rate, I'll go sell off this loot, I'll treat our injuries, and maybe I'll pick up with another episode or two after I've installed the early access patch. But it is important to remember that this is a product that's still in early access. I'm pretty sure the current version of the game dead ends after you finish exploring the first batch of derelicts, though that does leave us with at least 2 more ships to explore. But for now, hopefully this has given you a better idea of what the current version of the game is like. And if it seems like the sort of game you think you might enjoy playing, then be sure to check out the official website or the store page on Steam. As always, links are in the description.